Okay, here's my audience. Steven, Lauren, and there. 2, 5. Okay. It's hard for many people to accept that music has nothing in common with dancing other than the element of time and the division of time. Right? The words of the great Merce Cunningham. Period. So you probably already heard of Merce Cunningham and associate his work with the idea of chance operations. If not, here's your chance. He lived in a fascinating time with many fascinating artists. His creative theories really changed the course of modern dance history. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his intersections with other avant-garde artists, his creative process, and some of his influence. So Merce Cunningham was born in Centralia, Washington, introduced to dance by a woman named Maud Barrett, who owned the Barrett School of Dance, and he learned tap dancing, vaudeville, folk dance, then went on to study at Cornish School of the Arts in Seattle, Washington, where he met John Cage, who was an accompanist in the dance classes at Cornish. He had an instructor named Bonnie Bird, who brought him to Mills College in the summer of 1938, where he performed with Bela Lewinsky in a Lester Horton piece. And then the following summer, the Bennington School of the Dance met at Mills College, which is the precursor to today's ADF, American Dance Festival, where Humphrey Weidman were performing work with Jose Limon, and Merce Cunningham danced with Limon in a Weidman piece, as well as a concert with John Cage, percussion music. And that's where he ran into Martha Graham for the first time. She saw him dance, discovered Merce, and invited him to come be in a piece in New York. And he took her up on that. He went to New York, he met her at her studio, and was a star in her company for 6 years. Figured prominently in a lot of her work until he broke with her completely in 1945. So while he was working with Martha, he started working with John Cage, doing their own concerts at Bennington College and also at the Weidman Studios. And gathered some dancers around him and started creating work. Pretty soon the company sort of started to form with John Cage as music director and Robert Rauschenberg doing decor and costume. But the company really formed at Black Mountain College in 1948, where the artists were able to work with a wide range of collaborative people, including the de Koonings and Buckminster Fuller. So lots of people working together to create art.
So good, riding my bike over here.
Summer workshop organized by Joseph Albers. Okay, so he's always around the avant-garde, but chance operations are really what we associate with Merce Cunningham today and forever. So Cage, his music is described as rejecting traditional instrumentation, rejecting harmony, and Merce was around this modern dance community that was really connected with narrative, with emotional situation, with poetry, and he wanted to reject that. So Merce walked away from narrative and found a way of working with John Cage where they would create separately, compose separately, and bring their pieces of art together in performance. And that was the way that Merce describes as helping him to have the freedom not to be pinned to the music, so to speak. And Cage introduced Merce to the process of using the I Ching, which is an ancient Taoist, Chinese Taoist spiritual text, over 3,000 years old, which uses the tossing of coins and a set of 64 hexagrams to predict the future as well as explain events. So Cage would create these charts of sounds or modes and then use the I Ching to determine frequency or sequence. And so in that sense, chance was used to create his compositions. And Cunningham used his influence and that same process to create dance work. And except for One exception was the piece Story, which actually included some chants, which was left, some elements which were left to chants on stage. So the dancers had set movement phrases that they could choose from. They had decor items and costume pieces chosen by Robert Rauschenberg via accident, so from the dumpsters around the theater, from thrift stores, that they could use in performance, and it was different every time. But other than that, the dancers really didn't experience the chance operations in any significant way. Yes. So Merce's work is still being performed, and as recently as 1999, he was working with Mikhail Baryshnikov on a piece called Occasion Piece. So he continued this work with avant-garde and great dance artists throughout his career. His piece Pondway will be performed at the Deutsche Oper am Rhein actually this weekend. So his work is being performed internationally today. Even though he's unfortunately no longer with us, he passed away in 2009. But the idea of chance operations and the simultaneity of dance and music and performance will always be associated with his name. And so if you're a dancer and you work in the dance world, then you are influenced by his work, whether you know it or not. So, thank you. That's it.